This is the Mom Curious podcast, where we say the quiet part out loud about womanhood, motherhood, and everything in between.
And I still have a couple of the vials.
Shut up!
No, you shut up. I kept them. So
You're just hoarding sperm?
No.
That was a joke.
That was a joke. That was a joke. 30, like my mid 30s, when like my body started changing and stuff after shitting out 3 kids.
Stop taking advice from people on the internet, like myself included.
And I didn't realize how heavy that would be, and that loving my children would not be enough to make me not a basket case.
And that gave me the freedom to do something for myself.
And it's an adventure that is not just all doom and gloom.
You know better, and if you didn't, now you know better.
Welcome back to the Mom Curious podcast. I'm Daniella Rabbani. I am joined today by Natasha Vaynblat, who is a hilarious and really insightful comedian. And she has a new special out.
April 28th at Joe's Pub at 9:30.
Joe's Pub. Oh my God, that's so fancy.
I know. I'm
Okay,
moving up in the world.
And that is why you are finding me at my friend Sarah Slavin's gorgeous home in Long Island, because we really wanted to get this in, guys. Welcome to the Mom Curious podcast. The reason why we wanted to have Natasha on is because she's tackling a subject that is near and dear to our heart, and that is the plight of the childless freak. Is that correct?
That is spot on. Exactly.
We don't call you a childless freak around here. We call you a woman who makes her own fucking choices.
Thank you so much. It's just me trying to take back the term, but you're right. It is,
The term cat lady. What other terms could we assign?
Spinster, hag, crone, there's just so many we can throw out there.
Yeah. I learned another great term from your show. I did get I got a little inside look, not to brag.
Sneak peek. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's really so good. What's a dink?
Oh, that's somebody who is, or a dink is a couple that doesn't have kids, double income, no kids. So if you're together, but you've decided, to use your income not for children, you're a dink.
That sounds great.
Yeah, a lot of people brag about being dinks. I, as you know, in my show, am a freelancer as well as my husband. So double income is kind of a pipe dream for us.
Yeah, double income. It's like half and half. It's like it's like one income. So would you be an oink?
I had that joke, and then I saw another comedian was posting about being an oink, and I was like, oof, I can't do it. So it's out there. Oink is already out there.
I did it. I don't
You're
take it back.
proud. Yeah.
Backsies.
I mean, it's a great term. I just, I didn't come to it first, so I had to.
Natasha, what do we need to know about you in regards to this show?
Sure. Well, so the show was birthed from just personal turmoil and ambivalence about the choice of motherhood. So I've been a stand-up for years, and my first album was truly just kind of like my favorite jokes and introduction to who I was. And as I was thinking through what to write about next for a new show, the other thing that was consuming my mind was this choice about motherhood. Do I do it? Do I not? I was right around the time I was turning 35, and that felt like, okay, is the time to start really thinking about it. I've kind of already pushed, the timeline, or at least that's what they tell you as far as, fertility things. And the only way I could really...
They call your pregnancy a geriatric pregnancy.
Exactly.
35. My daughter was born when I was 35 and 1 day old. So I dodged
so a young geriatric.
No, I wasn't a geriatric pregnancy. I was not. I was already in labor on my 35th birthday.
Hell
I only
yeah.
say that with such bullshit, and it's like, don't be mean to us. We're literally like, don't leave us alone.
Yes. Yeah. And this is a statistic I feel like I can't back up necessarily, but I heard somewhere that even that idea of like 35 being geriatric is based on like data from like farm communities in like the 1920s or something, right? Have you heard this? Where it's like it's totally out of date.
I have not heard that exact data point, but I do know that, they don't study women's health. They don't study women's bodies. It's actually a huge, no,
Yes.
it's a huge problem, partially because women, I guess, historically have either been pregnant or nursing or whatever else. And doctors have always been like, the baby. But like, what about the woman carrying the baby? And
That's
then we get into,
fascinating.
we have like no data on menopause, and it's actually
Right.
really, really problematic. So, I mean, I do think like by 35, it is a good time to consider, wait, do I actually want children? But
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know if like medically it has any validity at all. I don't know. My cousin is
Yeah.
49 and
And pregnant? Is that what you said? 49 and
yeah,
pregnant? Wow.
49 a baby. She wanted a baby. I think she waited for a husband long enough, and she was like, you know
I
what?
want to do
No,
it. Yeah, I
I
think
want
about
to do
Diane
it.
Keaton a lot. I mean, she adopted, but like in her 50s. So it's like truly kind of, there is an option, you know? You can Diane Keaton it.
And she adopted in her 50s.
She did,
Truth
yeah.
is, if the door, if speaking of doors open, if you wanted to open the door, it's always possible. There is always going to
Yeah.
be a child. There will always in this world be a living child who was already brought to earth, who could use food, shelter, etc., love. But it sounds like that's not really actually what you want at all.
No, yeah. And it took me, several years to kind of figure out what I did want. And the show is birthed from the notes of me just fully just journaling about my indecision and confusion. And then, the only way I can really process something is through comedy. So I was naturally kind of writing jokes about it. And then I thought, okay, how do I put this into a show? And it was really nice because it also pushed me to be personal in a way I hadn't been before, or much more like vulnerable in my comedy than I'm used to. So that was a good challenge too.
You are vulnerable, but mostly really funny in this.
Thank
So
you. That was the goal. It was like 20%
yeah,
vulnerability, 80% maximum laughs.
I think the topic is actually just vulnerable in and of itself, and you're
Hmm.
just funny in and of yourself. So it's like it's all there. It's all working for you. Um, I do find it really interesting that your first special, your album is called "We're All Dads Here," which is like,
Yes,
ooh, this parenthood has always been on your mind. This is a run.
I know. And it's interesting because it was even before you are so right to make that observation. And it was one that I noticed as I started like figuring out Childless Freak. And I was like, oh, whoa, it is interesting that it's kind of been in the back of my mind even before I think I was ready to admit it to myself that
Mhm.
motherhood wasn't for me. That it's like, yeah, even your first special you named We're All Dads Here,
I know.
you
Well, I
know?
mean, you are an only child, and like your
Hmm.
parents, like their personalities loom brightly in your work, as they should. Two Russian immigrants, bless them. I grew up. One of my best friends, Jessica, her parents are Russian, and God, are they so big, vivacious, sexy still? They're like 70, and how are they still sexy? How are they still into each other? Like, what is this? Anyway, I find your rendition of your parents so charming, and they're like your best friends. A lot of times I speak to people who are like not interested in motherhood, and they'll cite, maybe some like turmoil in their childhood, or maybe like I have one friend who came on the show who talked about tying her tubes in her 30s, and she was just like,
Mm.
I have enough going on. She's a Tony Award nominated actress. She's mothers her career, herself. She has type 1 diabetes, and she's just like, I don't want that for my child. Like that there's a high possibility. But it does not seem that deep at all for you, or is that just on the stage?
I think that's on the stage. I think it really, um, gosh, these decisions are so complex in that, like, yeah, what is driving the thoughts behind it? And I know for me, what did weigh heavy was this kind of ending, of the family line. That was tough. And I knew it would be really tough for my parents too, especially because I'm an only child, especially because this kid would be the first, like American, because I was born in Russia as well. So I know all of that. That to me was, I think, because I have a close relationship with my family, was really tough because I didn't want to be the bearer of bad news in that way.
And you don't want to disappoint your like parents who saved your freaking life from Russia.
Yes. Yeah.
Real, and they seem to be like your champions and friends, like so
Yeah,
that's
I mean my comedic taste is from them, my like they were always very funny and very appreciative of humor in the home. So that me, being a comedian is very much a response to the way I was raised.
why don't you want to be a mom?
Yeah, great question. Yeah.
You can't even answer an email properly. I'll let you in on trying to schedule this very very exciting, very important interview because Natasha does have a show coming up at the end of April at Joe's Pub. I could not even answer an email. Like I just was like, I am spring break and the birthday party that. Well, I felt very self conscious about it. I was like, I
Oh.
am. Why you don't want to be a mom?
Yeah,
Or
I
maybe
mean,
Natasha, maybe you have your own reasons.
I got those and then others. It's really, I think I'll give you this answer and then feel free to prod me further, but it's like it just doesn't seem to be the thing I'm excited to do in this lifetime compared to
Mhm.
the other things I have on my roster of things I want to achieve. And every time I thought about motherhood and absolutely like the joys that come with it, the thought that would bubble up immediately would be like, oh, I think I would resent all of the time and focus it would take. And I just was like, the last thing I want to do is constantly be upset at my
Mhm.
child and my life for the things that I have to give up.
Girl, yeah.
And it was like, yeah. And honestly, part of, I think, being an only child informed that because I had so much freedom to make my own schedule. Like there was just very little I just come from so much freedom that it felt like I know what it takes, and I don't think I'd be very good at it.
The Oh, well, if you don't want it, of course you're not going to be good at it.
Yeah.
Like
Or I think it would
you
frustrate
want
me
your
how much
comedy
I would
career,
have
and that's why
to
you have a show at Joe's
give
Pub.
to it.
Like it's like when your desire meets your talent, like boom, you're on stage at Joe's Pub. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
Like,
yeah.
and you're a person. You're like a person just like any human that gets born on this earth. It's like so much part of the reason why Laura, our executive producer, who's such a champion of yours and
I love Laura.
smuggled me a tape of Childless Freak. Really, she and I conceived of this show together originally because we wanted to explore, the curiosity of being a mom, like what that entails, because I don't think everyone does know what it entails, and also choosing not to be a mother, which Laura has chosen for herself. Um, Laura Lucetti is the executive producer here. She works at Hoff Studios for anyone listening. She's the absolute best, but she mothers her career. She mothers me in many ways. I call her my podcast mother, and she has this team of people. She has these creative babies, and I think we're living in a time where like we get to choose. We we get to choose. I mean, I think being childless by choice is actually so exciting and empowering. At least
Yeah. And
from the perspective of the sort of viewer,
I mean, I think that's great to hear, especially because so much of the rhetoric on the other side, is either um, pitying people who don't have kids or, being angry at people who don't have kids because of that decision. So it's so nice that I do think the opinion is changing overall. So not just for the people who choose not to have kids, but for those who have kids, but, see people who don't. But I think this speaks to the idea of like having it all, right? And I think for me, having it all meant not having to sacrifice time for motherhood. Like that to me felt like the freedom I could take. That felt to me like, oh, I can make this choice. I live in a world where I'm free to say I do want to
Mm.
have it all, but that life looks like a life that is just consumed with our artistic output.
You keep mentioning freedom, and I just can't help but remember that you were born in Russia, and
Mm.
that like you actually were not born free.
Yeah, yeah, that's and I'm like, oh, I haven't thought about that in relation to the immigrant story as well. But yeah, that's a great point. I come from a country that did not value giving its citizens freedom, so I think perhaps I hold on fiercely to it because of where I came from.
Mm. Yeah, it's so real. And I was watching the smuggled tape of Childless Freak. I bet it's even better live. So check it out at Joe's Pub on April 28th at 9 p.m. But but I felt actually very seen myself
Mm.
because I have two children. Ness is 9 and Paz is 6, and I love them so much, and um, I know that in this lifetime I was and am meant to be their mother. And the reason why I felt seen is not because you were talking about me and my motherhood experience, but you were talking from the perspective of a woman who is judged. And I feel like that actually is across the board.
Wow, I love hearing that. Thank you. And that's so true. That is like the thing that kind of unites all of us in our experience of womanhood is society will judge whatever decision you make. And whatever you do, you have to do it perfectly. Otherwise, yeah, there's so much judgment.
I was thinking about Childless Freak um, for your husband, let's say.
Mm, yeah.
He's just,
Say that again.
he's just a guy.
It's so much easier for men still. It's crazy. Yeah, and I think for him it was interesting because he was like, we'll kind of we'll let you be the the director of the decision. And I think again that's like because societally somehow it falls on the woman to be the one that makes the choice, which is interesting, you know.
I think there's a perception that women want to have kids.
Mm,
Like that probably even right. I mean, I could be
yes.
wrong. I think for the most part, the perception is, and I don't know. You actually read way more books about maternal ambivalence than
So
I,
many. Dear
so I would
God.
love your research.
Sure.
Um, but the perception is that there's a maternal instinct, that genuinely it's something that we biologically are capable of and therefore want to experience. And I only live in this one body, so I only know me. And I
And
also
did
I can tell you that from my experience, I was 32 and a half when I had, maybe 33 when I had Ness, and no, 32. And I did not want a child 1 second before then. In fact, I actually told my husband that I don't want children. It wasn't until I had a
wow.
marriage that I really felt like a real urge, need,
Mm-hmm.
which happens, which I've heard many times before, that like a miscarriage can like bring on like a real feeling, desire to, I don't know, make it so.
Yeah.
But you were gonna say something.
Well, I mean, I think that's really interesting. Again, it's like it's something that helped me come to the decision in this kind of deep state of ambivalence, where it's like I could see myself both ways. Was that it was the reality that like one size doesn't fit all. So I do have some friends who fully felt this like maternal urge kick in kind of right when they turned 30, and it was like I want to have a baby and it feels clear to me. I had other friends who kind of like you, like were on the fence and then they started trying, and then the fact that they couldn't made them realize how much they wanted to have children. And then did IVF, did the whole process, and are so happy now. And I think I kept being really scared that, like, oh, there's something in me that that at some point I'll feel, because I have been told that everyone feels this way. And then reading these various books about motherhood, it became clear to me that there is no right answer. And in fact, if I had a kid, I would still potentially feel ambivalent about the whole thing. Like, it's just everybody feels differently.
So I have after I saw your show, I was like, oh, there's this one author who writes about maternal ambivalence. She, by the way, has 3 children. One of them is my friend, and she's wonderful. And she's a psychologist. So I picked up her book, and I'm gonna start reading it. But I need to know, what is maternal ambivalence, and it can still happen after, but based on your not experience, but your deep dive, it can still happen. You can experience maternal ambivalence even after people have children.
Yeah, I mean, ambivalence is just a term that means you're genuinely torn. So it's not, I think sometimes incorrectly it's used as like, I don't care. But the true sense of ambivalence means there are these 2 options, and I truly could see myself choosing either.
Right.
And so the idea is, once you become a mother, the assumption is like that ambivalence is gone, because now, I've bonded with my children. There's no way that I could think about wanting the life without children. And the truth is that some women still do. And it's just like, naturally, you can't help but think like, oh, what would my life be like today if I wasn't, like dealing with a toddler who's, screaming for my attention.
Wait,
so I think,
there are books written about this. This is a secret. Wait, there's a name for this? Hold on.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. Right. But again, it's like in the same. Sorry, go ahead.
It's obvious to me that, of course, if you, my friends, my friends and I were raising children in the pandemic, a baby and a toddler. Yeah. We happened to all, and we were just like, those motherfuckers get to just like make a film. They get to like do music. They get to travel. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
There are books written about that. Isn't that awesome?
There are, deep, scientific investigations about this feeling. But I think it's in the feeling. Yes, but I think it speaks to what you were saying, which is the assumption is women want kids, and so also the like assumption is that you don't experience these feelings, but any human being does, regardless of the choices we make.
Yeah. So do you have a community? I listened to some of the podcasts that you've been on, and
oh, thank you.
They seem cool. They're like it's like a vortex, like a mirror image of Mom Curious, but it's like the curious life of a childless woman.
Yes, yes.
I read, Ruby Warrington's book, Women Without Kids. It's a great book. You did read it?
Of course.
Yeah, she was on the show. Love her. And there's like a bunch of podcasts that are essentially Mom Curious, but not curious, and actually have chosen not to be moms. But so, is there a community of women that you hang with? You do mention that you have you ended up having a lot of gay friends. They're having a great life. No one's judging them for not having kids.
I know. In another life, I would have loved to be a gay man. I say to my gay male friends all the time, and they bristle, obviously. But yeah, I think
everyone's got their stuff.
Everyone's got their stuff. It's true. Yeah. But I think, it was interesting. My friend, a very close friend of mine who is a gay man, was saying, he's like, it's interesting because I just kind of see you wrestling with what I wrestled with as a teenager. So he's like, kind of before I came out, I had to like come to terms with the fact that the traditional life that my family wanted and expected for me just wasn't going to happen. And so he was like, I just kind of see you doing that, but, now at 35, because I have been living a, kind of a heteronormative life up until that point. I got married in my 20s, to a man. So it's interesting that you're right. It's like it just kind of it comes for us at different points in our lives, but I think it only makes us stronger when we can like shake off the pressures and the like rules about what our life has to look like for it to be valued and respected, and instead choose the things that make us the most fulfilled.
I mean, the person that you're in contact with most often is yourself. So, like, if
Mhm.
you value and respect your decisions, you're doing pretty well.
Yeah. But I will
Easier
say
said than
being
done.
in New York, oh, go ahead.
No, way easier said than
Yes. And there is I think a lot about how I think it's much harder to live without to be a straight woman without kids outside of these coastal cities. I think it just my life feels so much easier because I live in New York City. So many people have different lives from one another. Every time I go home to the suburbs, I am shocked at how uniform it still is across the board. Like, and it's impossible not to talk about kids because that's kind of every person I interact with is married with kids. And so I think it is exhausting being an outsider, and it's much easier for me because I live in New York. And yeah, a lot of my female friends now do have kids or are like, about to have kids. But I have such a rich community of people who live outside that world that it's much easier for me to still maintain a pretty strong social life and network.
Laura was telling me how, excited she is to continue to platform women without children and childless freaks, etc.,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want to call it. Women choosing to live however the fuck they want. And I wonder, you still feel like it's hard?
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to prove yourself?
Yes, I do.
That's
And I think that is not necessarily, I think that's specifically probably tied to me. I think that's not every child free woman, certainly not. But I think absolutely. And I think it's just something I will probably feel for the rest of my life, but in a way that I don't, I guess what's a good way to put it, where it's like, it, I am reminded of the fact that I am living differently. And that can make you feel outside of, yeah, the norm. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad feeling, but it would be inauthentic to say like, I don't even notice it. I certainly notice it.
did you notice it on the inside or you notice it from other people, the way they interact with you?
I would say inside. Yeah, I would say I don't feel necessarily like shame or pity from other people directly, but that is not to say I don't pick up on it indirectly. Like
Like why?
just someone will say like, I went home and I had a family friend be like, or I went home and the way you ask about like how is somebody doing, the response is always, oh, they're doing well, they're married, they have this amount of kids.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
just like that is just kind of the shorthand how you catch up about somebody. And so when they are talking about me, they don't do it because I'm in the room, but I'm like, I am curious what they say, and I think, and I imagine it's something to the effect of like, oh, she lives in New York, she doesn't have any kids. And it's interesting that to me feels, yeah, like, gosh, what's a good way to put it? I notice the difference.
Hmm. Yeah. Do you like kids?
Yeah, I think they're great. But I'm like, do I always want to hang out with kids? No. But I'm not somebody who doesn't like kids. But I also am not like, oh, I cannot wait to hang out with your kid. I'm not one of those people.
Totally. Do you have friends who couldn't have children? Like, is that part of the conversation in your circle?
Not yet. Not yet. Because for those of my friends who struggled to have kids, they inevitably had like IVF work for them. So, no.
If you're listening to Mom Curious, I know that you have a particular interest in the arts, in culture, in exciting hangs that are IRL. And I know that you could use a break after the summer quote unquote break. So I want to invite you to a really exciting film festival that's happening on Fire Island after the kids have left and the families have departed. And it's happening September 18th, 19th, and 20th. It's going to be an incredible hang for tastemakers, industry leaders, of course, filmmakers. And I want you to be there. I'll be there too. So I'll tell you a little bit more about it. The Grove and Pines Film Festival is a love letter to Fire Island, New York. At the film festival, there will be exclusive screenings, top tier entertainment, exciting parties, merch, secret lounges, and so much more. It's a celebration of authentic queer storytelling. It's happening September 18th, 19th, and 20th. The tickets are on sale now at groveandpinesfilmfestival.com. You wouldn't want to miss the inaugural year of a history-making festival. Grove and Pines Film Festival is a proud nonprofit 501c3 who are offering a 5K grant to LGBTQ filmmakers. And we can't wait to see you. So check out GAPFF.com for more details.
You do a really fun game that actually I play as well, but from like the opposite angle. I'm like, how successful is this actress? Well, does she have kids? Like I try and make myself feel better. Like maybe she's that successful because she doesn't have any kids. But what's the angle that you see that game as? It's the same exact game.
It's the exact same game, but instead it's like, oh God, if she's the successful and she has kids, I'm screwed. Because
Yeah.
then I'm like, oh, there's no excuse. She did it all. Yeah, so it's
I
funny
know.
that like regardless, the pressure is there.
We all play that game. We're all like, how did she do it? But I actually am wondering, how did she do it? It's a great game.
Yeah, and I think there's no exact. If
What
we
is
knew the answer, yeah, it would be amazing.
how she did it all? I know. I
Mhm.
mean, I think I know.
Which
I,
is
I think if you have like resources,
yeah, yeah.
if, if you're physically well
Mhm.
and very wealthy, then I'm not 100% sure you have to consider that resentment that you talked about.
Mhm.
You could, and that doesn't mean that you should, but you could reap just the benefits and not the Tetris schedule, diapers, like you could. But you would have to
Absolutely.
want that, that like, you would have to want that too.
And I mean, I thought about the financial aspect of it a lot while making the choice, especially because I would have friends who could afford a night nurse versus friends who couldn't. And I was like, even
Oh,
that
yeah.
difference, wow, what a change of, what an effect it has on not only quality of life, but yeah, your ability to keep up with your work, all
Oh,
of those things. It's such a huge factor.
and like enjoy your children.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you enjoy?
So much. I enjoy, getting to be, creative. I also enjoy hosting dinner parties. As I kind of mentioned, my husband is currently cleaning as we prepare. So what's been so lovely is once we've made the decision, it's kind of opened up our lives in other ways because I think by not having kids, there's still the yearning for this kind of community and nurturing that you naturally get when you're a parent. You meet other parents, you're nurturing these young people. And so we've started having dinner parties, also hosting workshops in the apartment for younger
Ooh,
comedians. Yeah, so it's been really
ooh.
nice because I do think like it is a real concern if you're not going to have kids, like, okay, how do I make sure that there are younger generations who I am still connected to, and like have community. So that part is something we're actively trying to make sure we have in our lives because not having children means like, yeah, you have to work harder to build that into your life.
Mm. I really never considered that. But being a mentor
Hmm.
is a really fulfilling experience. And like
Yeah.
you are passing down your knowledge, which I guess you're talking about the meaning of life. You're talking about life and death. You're like, what am I leaving behind? Like
Yeah.
you're leaving your art behind. You were here, essentially. Th- that's what we're I think children can provide a lot of those um like check marks, whatever, on that list of like meaning and um a stamp, like I did the thing, I lived a life. But but if you really like piece it apart, it's like, oh, well, I created this piece of art. I handed down this, you know, piece of education, but also you get to enjoy the life, the
Yeah.
world,
Hmm.
travel.
Totally. And you get to, yeah, mentoring is really fun too, because you're like, oh, I get to pick my favorite people. So my husband and I joke, we're like, God, I wish this person was my kid. And so we're like, okay, have them over dinner, like fold them into our lives. Why not?
Just like make
It's
them
the
your
best.
kid.
Yeah. Be like a cool, aunt and uncle or a de facto New York City parent for these people. It's the best.
Oh my God, it's the best. I came up as a young actor. I did take some classes at UCB, which I know
Mm.
you teach at, right?
Yes, yes.
And for me, like many of my mentors and other people I hear him cleaning in the background, and I love that
I
for you.
know. Sorry.
But many of my mentors, it's all good. Many of my mentors were child free because, like, in the theater, like, you don't make that much money, and like that's what you're doing all day, every day. So it never dawned on me that it would be strange to other people, like that it would be some sort of big thing. Um, but when I spoke to Ruby Warrington, and then when I saw your show, there was a consideration about like, okay, so who's going to take care of me? Which I actually, even as a parent, never really considered. Like, I don't think of. I know that I'll have to take care of my parents because I want to, as I sense you want to with your parents. But I never really considered like, oh, that children are an insurance. Like,
Yeah.
what can you walk us through some of those conversations you've had with your husband around that getting old?
Yeah, I mean, and also I hear from parents all the time, kind of like you said, where it's like I'm not assuming that my kids are going to take care of me. Like obviously I would love for them to want to be a part of the process, but I'm not living my life thinking like you will then, bear the burden of this.
Yes, but there might be some societal construct that is baked into the back of my brain that
For
I didn't
sure.
even consider because I never considered it.
Yeah. So we
But you did.
uh I sure did. I mean, again, it's like if you're going to make this I think the rhetoric around child-free people is sometimes like, oh, you're like so into having fun all the time, like you don't want any responsibility. But the reality is, like, if you are deciding to be child-free, you have a responsibility to decide, like, what will your financial life look like um, if you don't have any kind of support system kind of on the back end, a younger, person looking out for you in some way. So we specifically like looked into, okay, how do we start saving for like elder care, you know? So we've started to do that now. And are also like looking into like what are these, like communities that exist for people who don't have kids who are like retirement age outside of a nursing home. Like there's I found this very cool place in France that is essentially this like community of, I think, widows, but they're all just kind of like living together in this like beautiful like southern France locale. So I'm like, things exist. You
I
just
love
kind of have to build your own thing. Yeah.
I love that it's like an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end, it's an adventure, as
And a
life should be.
challenge. And a fun challenge because you do have to like write a new script, but it's one that you get to decide. So quite freeing.
Um, how are your parents about all this now?
I think, you know, it's I think it like is an evolving conversation, but I think they're like slowly getting on board, and that they're like starting to get a little more excited for me as the show continues, but it's still hard. I think they don't pretend that it's easy to know that like the path of a grandparent is no longer open to them. I think it's still really hard for them.
Understand.
Yeah.
Well, what
And
is? Nope. What were you gonna say? You go.
no, I was just going to say, and it's, you know, I wish that was something that I could give them, but I think I have to be mindful of the fact that I would be doing it for them as opposed to for me.
Mhm. Mhm. What are the next steps for your show?
So I'm doing it, yeah, at Joe's Pub, and then I honestly don't have any specific thoughts outside of that. I would love to continue doing it in New York, maybe do a little tour. So it's all TBD.
Hmm. Can you give us like a little taste, or maybe your favorite part before we head out? Because I loved it so much, and I would love for
Yeah.
everyone to check it out April 28th at 9 p.m. at Joe's Pub.
Okay, I'll tell you. Yeah, so there's a game I play where I first have to for the person to play the game, I have to first determine if they're straight man or not, and I do that simply by asking a pop culture question. Okay, so we can play one with you. And I forget which one I rotate them in and out. So I don't think if I asked you this one, I'll ask you a different, or if you've heard this one in the show, I'll ask you a different one.
I need to tell you the truth. I
Yeah.
got all of them wrong.
Ah!
I was like, I was.
Well,
the
you're a
straightest
straight
man.
man at your core. Yeah, it's more a
guess.
vibe
I mean,
thing. Yeah.
actually, that does make sense.
Yeah,
go.
again. So it's more the essence. Are you a straight man? Yeah, as your essence. The question is, can you
Yes,
name how? And so then you couldn't play. But the first question I ask is, how many members were in the original Destiny's Child?
4.
Okay, good. That means you can play. That means actually you're not straight at your core.
Oh, all right. Well, there you go.
So look at that.
Proud of myself.
We contain multitudes, but also, you know, the questions are also very like pop culture dependent too. So it's also kind of a generational question. Where it's like, are you currently a woman in your 30s?
Exactly. Right. Exactly. I don't know who they were. Kelly Rowland was there. So was
Yes.
Beyonce. Michelle?
No, it was Latoya and Latavia. Michelle was a later addition. Michelle was when they kind of reworked it to 3.
Well, God bless them all. I
know.
have no idea who those women are, where they are. Are they okay?
I hope they're doing something fun. You know, I have not looked into it. I cannot say yes or no.
Maybe after this call. Tell me, have we missed anything that is very important for the listener to know about you or the show or choosing a child-free life?
You know, I think we covered it all. There's nothing that comes to mind, but yeah, if I had to say, the thing that's most important is you don't need to run from ambivalence. I think it's an opportunity to figure out what you really want.
What you really want is exactly what we're advocating for here on the Mom Curious podcast. Whatever the fuck you want. This is your life, baby. Live it. And if you can live it on April 29th, April
28th at
9:30.
9:30.
Yeah.
But people should get there at 9. But you know, but yeah, show starts.
Wait, I've been saying 9 p.m. this whole time, and you just let me?
It doesn't matter, because I honestly would rather people get there at 9. So
wait, what else have I been just spitting out?
9:30. It starts at 9:30.
That's the only non-truth you
That's
could, because I'm open to conversation here, Natasha.
You got it all.
No, I've got it all except the right time of the show. Okay,
30 minutes.
April 28th at 9:30 at Joe's Pub, which is actually a really big deal. I am very impressed and excited and love the show so much. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yay. Okay, guys, see you next week.
This has been a Hoff Studios production, executive producer Laura Lucetti. I'm your host and creator, Daniella Rabbani. Come find me at Daniella Rabbani. My DMs are open and I want to hear everything. Also, if you like the show, please send it to a friend and leave a review because we are in this together.